Sup and welcome to the Run In Wrestling podcast. Before we get into it, make sure you're checking us out on all of the socials. And yes, I know I messed that up. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, SoundCloud, and no, the iTunes podcast app. If you are on YouTube or the iTunes podcast app, just make sure you're leaving us a like, share, subscribe, any of those things that you can do. Leave us a review on the podcast app. It really does help us out in the long run. Thank you very much. I am Ryan from the Run In Studios in Kent, and I am on my own for now because we tried to record this morning. We're recording on Wednesday. This is probably going to go out on the Thursday, but we tried to record this morning, but Matt's internet went, so he can't be here anymore as he has other things to be getting on with. Can't really blame him. So we're going to get on with the podcast for now, and this is going to be a half and half podcast. This is going to be half on news, so a sort of half an hour version of TWIW, the this week in wrestling, as we call it, and then the other half is going to be our Fastlane predictions, in which we're going to have Matt's audio, my obviously me talking, and Dallas's audio as well. If you're more interested in our predictions, then I'd say jump to the second half. But if you want to hear some really good quality, some spicy content from me in the first half, we're going to be talking about some of the stuff that's happened this week outside of what happens on televised Raw and SmackDown. Then make sure to stay tuned for this. So a happy Rusev Day to everyone, or should I say a happy duly noted day as it goes, because Rusev changed his Twitter this week to duly noted, just his name, not his @ handle, and so that's interesting. It seems as though Rusev and Lana just really don't care and just taking shots at the moment. Because, a couple of weeks ago, Rusev Day, and Shane McMahon was like, duly noted, and Rusev isn't really getting much. Yeah, he's got a match now at Fastlane, so that card's come out, but you'll find out more about that later on. As I said, happy Rusev Day to everyone. So where should we start? Let's start with... Let's start off with the Hall of Fame. And that's right, Hall of Fame has a new inductee to it. This is Hillbilly Jim. One of the people that I'd say is definitely an old wrestler. So like people like me and Matt, who were born in 95 and 96, won't remember him at all, unless obviously we go back and try and find some stuff in the history of it. But I'm one of these ones that I won't complain because it was before my time, so I have no words to say about it. But from what I hear from people who've watched WWF from the start and into WWE, they say that he was a real character, he was great. So I was like, oh, okay, maybe he deserves to go in. And then from the video package that Raw put out on Monday, oh my god, I wish I was around to see this guy. He seems like a right laugh and a massive entertainer. So he's going into the class of 2018. That means that he'll be joining not only Goldberg, the Dudley Boys, Ivory, Jeff Jarrett, but he will also be with the Warrior Award recipient, Jarius J.J. Robertson. I really want them to do more people who have helped out backstage for the Hall of Fame, like the people who's like head of talent, head of training, even Kevin Dunn, people like that. I feel like the people behind the scenes deserve more credit than what they actually get. So yeah, that's the Hall of Fame. But let's kick off on some international news, and these are two separate stories that are going to be coming up. So first of all, we have what was announced. So this is actual news because it's actually on the WWE website, and this is Saudi Arabia is to host the, and in quotes, greatest Royal Rumble. First of all, don't like the name. Why is it? I know it is a Royal Rumble. It's actually a 50-man Royal Rumble, and quotes from the WWE website: the Saudi General Sports Authority, in partnership with WWE, will present the greatest Royal Rumble event at the King Abdullah Sports City in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia on Friday, April 27th. that is 19 days. So this is out of context now. This is 19 days after WrestleMania. And it's going to feature the first ever 50-man Royal Rumble. I believe the one before that was 40. I think that's the biggest one that we've had. And a part of this historic event, fans will see WWE superstars including John Cena, Triple H, Roman Reigns, AJ Styles, Braun Strowman, The New Day, Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt, and Shinsuke Nakamura. I mean, out of all the people that are on there, I don't think I'd put people would be too excited just about seeing Bray Wyatt and all that. I would guess it shows that he's definitely going to be around after WrestleMania, after he's finally deleted. It's not called the final deletion. I can't remember what it's called now. But something deletion, as we found out on Monday Night Raw this week. But yeah, back to the greatest Royal Rumble. We all know that Roman Reigns is probably going to win it. But there's a lot of questions to be asked, in which I'm going to get to them in a minute. It's all part of a 10-year strategic platform to help the 2030 vision of Saudi Arabia. It's going to be interesting. Apparently it's going to be a long-term commitment with WWE. Really odd timing, being just after WrestleMania. So some of the questions, and I want you guys to answer these as well, to see what you think about it, or whether there's been news announced whilst I'm currently recording this or when I put it out. So leave it in the comments, tweet us at Running Wrestling, or Facebook, Instagram, all those that I said earlier. First of all, is it going to be on the network? Should be. For a 50-man spectacle like that, it should be. What's going to be also going to be on the card? I guess we'll find that out later on down the line. Is it going to be predominantly a house show but with a 50-man Royal Rumble, or we're going to have something proper? I'd like to see another mixed match challenge match where they just randomly in quotation marks, 2 superstars and put them on there. I mean, if they're just going to have like a fun, if it's not going to include into storylines, so if they're not going to make it for anything prestigious like a chance at the world title, or one of the world titles is on the line, or something, then I'd like to see them have fun with it and just like go all out and just say, right, we're just going to have a really random matches. We're going to have Chris Jericho and Kevin Owens in a steel cage match. You know what I mean? But yeah, so speaking of Chris Jericho, so this isn't the other part of the news, but this is just some random news cutting in. Chris Jericho was asked on Twitter the other day, is he done with New Japan Pro Wrestling? And he said, a ring-a-ding-ding, yes he is. Whether that's actually true or not, it's Chris Jericho. I mean, this is the man that ever since he's had Twitter, he's kind of trolled his fans into believing one thing when he's doing another. So, do I believe that he's done with New Japan? Absolutely not. He can earn quite a bit of money there, and yeah, he attacked Naito, so I don't know whether they've still got to come along with that. He won't be at WrestleMania, that's 100%, because I'm pretty sure he's got a show on that day, so that would be interesting. The other piece of news that I was going to be talking about after the Greatest Royal Rumble, and apparently this one is just a rumour for now. I don't know whether anything's been confirmed. As I said, if it has been confirmed, then please do tweet us at RunInWrestling on the tweets, as you would on Twitter. So according to the Herald Sun, which is an Australian newspaper, I believe, WWE is looking to hold a huge event in 2018 in Australia at the Melbourne Cricket Ground. This seats 100,000 attendees and is the 10th largest stadium in the world. So this was reported to be in the works from last December, and it'll be something like Global Warming 2 Tour that they kind of did back in 2002 in Australia. So it'd be interesting to see where this all goes. I don't know whether it's going to be pay-per-view. I don't know whether it's going to be just a normal show. I'd imagine it would be a pay-per-view. Because why would they go 100,000 if this is true? This is apparently going to be in September, October time. But apparently the announcement is set to be unveiled at WrestleMania 34 on April the 8th. Which is fine. There aren't many Australian wrestlers on the roster that I can think of. I'm just going to have a quick look now. Australian wrestlers in WWE. But even in Australia, there aren't many big names that have come out of there. I was listening to the Chris Jericho podcast the other day with none other than one of my favourite, probably my favourite wrestler at the moment, and that is Mr. Will Ospreay. And he was saying how small the wrestling scene is in Australia and how he wants to help it out. So if we're looking at the Australian wrestlers in WWE at the moment, you have, Emma, but she's gone, so I can't really speak about her. Buddy Murphy, Peyton Royce, and Billy Kay are probably the biggest names that have come out of that are in WWE at the moment, and are Australian. Obviously, Buddy Murphy has just been knocked out of 205 Live tournament by Mustafa Ali. Sorry if you didn't already know that, but this is coming out on a Thursday. You should have watched it already. And Peyton Royce and Billy Kay haven't been on NXT tapings in a while. Presumably, I'm hoping this falls into place then, and it means that these two are going to be coming up to the main roster, and then hopefully from there, that's where this will lead to. You know, they'll get a big pop and everything, so it'd be great. Hopefully it'll be great. A little bit annoyed though. We should be getting a pay-per-view here in the UK. We deserve it. And me and Matt were having a conversation this morning when we tried to record, and that was that. Even if they did one of the non-Big Fours here, you know, I'd be happy with Money in the Bank. I'd be happy with Hell in a Cell. I'd be happy. You know what? I'd be happy with Backlash. As long as we got some decent matches, I would be happy. Especially now because we're having, after WrestleMania, there's going to be they're not going to be brand own pay-per-views. They're going to be all together from now on. So at least then I know, like, it's not just going to be SmackDown or Raw. It's going to be both. So should be good. I'd hope to have one here soon. And so I asked this on the tweets the other day, and it's another question for you guys to answer, and probably the winner will probably get a shout out on the podcast. And that is that if the UK was to have a pay-per-view, what would they call it? You know, if you try and make up some sort of name for it. And whilst I'm on the topic of this, I'm just going to do a quick shout out midway through this. So we've had some new subscribers on the YouTube this week. So shout out to Richboy35, Alfie Snow, and yeah, thank you for subscribing to us on YouTube. Ashley Vincent as well, for subscribing to us on YouTube. So yeah, if you're not already subscribed, make sure you are subscribing and get a shout out here on the podcast and on Twitter as well. Thank you very much. Let's move on to some other news now, and this is about two different people, shall we say. So apparently this is a rumour type thing that's going around at the moment. I don't know whether this is actually true, but everyone's saying it is. So this is just from Pro Wrestling Sheet. Pro Wrestling Sheet has learned Jeff Hardy is ready to return to action after getting the green light from his surgeon, and now he's just waiting on clearance from WWE. As we all know, Hardy went under rotator cuff surgery in October, and apparently he is clear. I don't know where they're getting these facts from, but the Ultimate Deletion is coming at WrestleMania. That's the name of it, by the way, the Ultimate Deletion. And so should hopefully Jeff Hardy should be back in time for WrestleMania, so he might even get involved in the match. You never know, we might see the return of Brother Nero. I was waiting for you, yes. So hopefully, yeah, he'll be back. Let's move on to The Undertaker then. And apparently he's been playing down a WrestleMania match. He went to see his brother the other day, Kane, or as he's, sorry for the clicking in the background, by the way. But yeah, so he went to go and see his friend Glenn Jacobs for a fundraiser, because obviously he's running for office in Knoxville, Tennessee. Yeah, so, and apparently someone asked him, this was courtesy of Ringside News. Yesterday he did a signing in Knox County, Tennessee with Kane to help Glenn Jacobs for mayor. Apparently Mark and Glenn are close, blah 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 blah. Some fans asked him about returning and why he could have very well been working and he could have been working them. He kind of gave the impression of, nah, don't hold your breath, don't wait for that one. But apparently it could happen. So apparently he played it down. But at the same time, like, if he's at a charity event, like, and he's trying to promote his friend, he's not just going to be like, oh yeah, I'm going to be at WrestleMania. I don't know why he's that southern. He is a bit southern, but he's not that bad. But yeah, so apparently he's playing it down. And speaking of WrestleMania, we're going to go back on to someone else who's apparently in the match that's meant to be with John Cena. So another rumour came out this week that Rey Mysterio, so it's reported that Rey Mysterio was backstage at SmackDown last week. And then, so obviously all the main important people would be there. Then it came out that Rey Mysterio was actually at SmackDown last Monday, which, if it's last Monday at SmackDown, so this would have been at a house show, it would have been completely different because of obviously all the important people would have been at Raw. So does that mean that he was just going to see friends, this, that and the other? But yeah, apparently he's in New Japan. He's obviously going to be fighting Liger at some point, but apparently he is also meeting with WWE that he could be returning at WrestleMania. However, there's more to this story, because apparently as well is that he actually has got injured following a house show that he did last Friday. So let me just find the story. So apparently he, according to Dave Meltzer, apparently he tore his left bicep at a house show. It was reported it was during a tag match, but I don't know how true that is, because I mean, I've watched someone posted like a video online of the match and the finish, and he didn't seem to be holding his arm. But at the same time, like, I mean, I'm not a doctor, they're not a doctor. But it should be interesting to see. Hopefully he's not injured, and I would love it if he was to come back at WrestleMania, even if it was just for a match against John Cena. But the thing is, what gets me about these matches with John Cena is there's no story there behind them, and although I could imagine Rey and John would put on a great match, you can call me wrong if you want, but I don't want The Undertaker to come back. Not because I dislike him, but he just, in his last couple of matches that he just seems as though he had a limp. He doesn't seem as though he's fighting fit, and I'd rather him not put his body through that. I'd rather him just be happy, doing other stuff at the same time. But apparently he's been working out. It's on his wife's, Michelle, Instagram, that they've been working out together. So, I mean, what could he be working out for? That's the question. But with Rey Mysterio, I'd love for him to come back. But the thing is, what's the storyline behind it? Could it be, oh, John, you'll get your WrestleMania match. It's me, Rey Mysterio. You remember that time that Vince McMahon let you have a random championship match and I held on to the WWE title for 10 minutes? Wow, I want my revenge, even though you haven't got a title. So yeah, I'm moving on to other people that have apparently been meeting with WWE, and this one annoys me a fair bit, and it's from PW Insider, who, they're 50-50 in my opinion. Some of the things that they write are 50-50, but apparently everyone has an inside guy these days. I wonder if it's all the same guy, just decides to throw out the different parts of the news. But apparently Alberto Del Rio was at WWE headquarters last week for an interview for an upcoming WWE project related to Rey Mysterio. So I don't know whether that means Rey's coming back, so therefore Alberto's coming back, or what. But, so more from this is that while he was at the Sports Entertainment Company headquarters, he reportedly met with WWE Chairman Vince McMahon, which has led to speculation about him potentially returning to WWE. Now, apparently there were some rumours a little while ago that he was going to come back. His deal with Impact does expire in a month, but in all fairness, I mean, if if he just suddenly goes, if he's at WWE just for a meeting, a lot of people are just going to be like, whoa, he's trying to get his job back, he's trying to do this, trying to do that. And I feel like you have to take this with a whole heap of salt, not even just a pinch of salt, a whole heap of salt, in that he left on bad terms with WWE, and apparently from what Paige says from the Lillian Garcia podcast that I listened to, is that her and Alberto are in good terms, but obviously not speaking because of everything that happened in their relationship is very messy. And it wouldn't, honestly, the fans, from what I've seen on Twitter and the backlash that this story has caused, is that people don't want him back. And apparently he was a bit of a douchebag backstage. I really couldn't care if he comes back. I would much rather him not come back. I would rather, if Rey Mysterio did come back, it would only be for a year. I would rather The Undertaker didn't come back because, why? We have so much talent to come through. If you think after WrestleMania, we have the Superstar Switch-Up in which we will probably have some people get called up. I would imagine when Drew McIntyre gets fit and ready, he's going to return to he's going to come to the main roster. Possibly Authors of Pain, and then possibly any female stars as well, like Billie Kay and Peyton Royce. But I guess we'll see. I would much rather this talent come through. But let me know as I said on Twitter, whether I'm right, whether I'm wrong. Would you like to see Alberto Del Rio come back? I just wouldn't want him to come back. I don't really enjoy the guy. I didn't really like him, and I'm not really bothered if he does. Right, let's move on to 205 Live. So as I said earlier on 205 Live, if you want to know the announcements of things, then obviously just go online, have a look. But again, PW Insider released, so this is from Mike Johnson, is that WWE will be instituting a new championship belt after WrestleMania season ends. So I don't know whether this will be after the night of WrestleMania or sort of, a couple of... Because they've got the Cruiserweight championship match at WrestleMania. So it could be interesting whether, Drake Maverick comes out with all the stars and is like, look, not all of you can have the Cruiserweight title. Not all of you can be 205 Live champion. However, you can be tag team champions, in his really unbelievably British voice. Like, it hurts me, and I'm British as well. Apparently, so this is according to PW Insider. While WrestleMania 34 will feature the tournament crowning, there are also plans to create a Cruiserweight Tag Team Championship for the 205 Live. The belts would give WWE a third set of Tag Team Champions and bring forth the Cruiserweight Tag Team Championship seen nationally in the United States since the demise of WCW in 2001. Do I agree with this? Yeah, absolutely. I think they need more on 205 Live to create a story, because even though they only have an hour, it just kind of felt as though they were just having matches for the sake of having matches, which is, at the end of the day, they were putting on great matches, but you do need some story behind them. And I feel like a tag team would be quite good if none of the Zotrain, I don't know, we're not going to call them the Zotrain anymore, don't win the Cruiserweight Championship, then, it'll be interesting to see. Obviously, you've got the more lucha wrestlers that could tag together. That would be quite interesting to see. And yeah, I think it would add more to 205 Live. Of course, this all comes after Triple H has taken over with some of the writing for 205 Live. He's been handed it from Vince, because I think Vince has been doing quite a lot with the XFL stuff. And yeah, I think he's been making a huge difference as well. So one last final story we're going to talk about, and it's mainly to do with Brock Lesnar. And this is, so there was a house show, I believe a Monday Night Raw house show the other day. I can't remember what day it was now, possibly Saturday, where he literally had a match with Kane. It lasted 35 seconds, because I'm pretty sure there was a German suplex. Kane got up, hit Brock, went to chokeslam him. Brock jumped out of the chokeslam. F5, match over. And I don't know whether I believe that Brock is leaving. And the thing is, there's so many different things that you can think about this story. Is that Brock isn't leaving, but they're playing up to it. Brock is leaving, and they're playing up to it. And the way that I think they're playing up to it, and this could be, I would imagine this all goes through Paul Heyman, is that he goes, look, he had a picture of Dana White the other day. Even if this is a real picture, this could have been a previous picture that's just not tweeted out yet. And they go, right, Brock is at this show on the Monday Night Raw. Even though it was apparently reported that he wasn't, but I mean, does anyone really know apart from the people that were there? Is that, you know, they go, okay, well let's make it seem as though Brock isn't here. And if he isn't here, then, you know, the fans are going to hate him even more. They're going to want Reigns to win. Honestly, this has been the best way that they've got Reigns over without the Shield since they've been doing this project for the last 3 years. This is honestly, like, even when he come out after beating Undertaker and got booed, I think he's not had cheers this loud, or people have actually wanted him to win the title since, as I said, without the Shield. Without the Shield, this is probably the biggest he's been over, because people just don't want Brock Lesnar as champion. No one wants a part-timer. Everyone's had a job where you have someone who doesn't work that hard, and it annoys you because and you have to work harder, or it reflects on you, and it's horrible, and it's really relatable for people. So yeah, so apparently, you know, they're really playing up to this, and whether Brock will leave or not, I think it depends on, you have to have a look at UFC. If the match that he's meant to be having is all scheduled, then I think that he's going to leave. But I feel like at the moment, just take everything with a pinch of salt that you hear around this, because I would imagine that Paul Heyman's backstage just saying, right, let's just add more heat to this, let's add more heat to this, add more heat to this, because it's, you know, it's getting Reigns over. So that is the news for now. Let's move on to Fastlane predictions. So if you have just joined us because you didn't want to hear me rambling on about news, sorry. Then, so the card for this is going to be Rusev versus Shinsuke Nakamura, Becky Lynch and Naomi versus Natalya and Carmella, Charlotte Flair versus Ruby Riott for the Women's Championship on SmackDown, Bob Roode versus Randall Orton for the US title, Usos versus New Day for the tag team titles, and the six-pack challenge, which is Baron Corbin, Kevin Owens, Sami Zayn, John Cena, Dolph Ziggler, and AJ Styles. And we're going to add that's 1 point for each and every match of the winner, so a possible 6 points out of that, and then we're going to add a 2-pointer for who is going to take the fall, so who is pinned or submitted in the six-pack challenge. So say it's AJ Styles that wins and Baron Corbin takes the pin. So say I guessed that correctly, that's a maximum of 3 points. Whereas if, say, Kevin Owens pins Baron Corbin, still get 2 points from it. So yeah, let us know, before you're even listening to us, I'd say, let us know your predictions. Comment in the YouTube comments, comment down there, or tweet us or anything. Let us know, because, you know, if you're getting your guesses correctly, we might even invite you on to do the next lot predictions for WrestleMania. Matt's title will be on the line, so that means that me, Dallas, or Matt, we could have new contenders or a new champion by the end of Fastlane. Obviously, Matt won the first won it the first time and then I won at Royal Rumble, Matt won at Elimination Chamber, and then it comes down to Fastlane, and then obviously WrestleMania afterwards. I don't know whether this one, everyone's going to kind of say the same thing, but let's find out. As I said, if you do want to get involved with this, just let us know your predictions in the comments down below, or just tweet us your predictions for each and every one. And there's also a 2-pointer as well. So who will be taking the pinfall in the six-pack challenge? So there we go. If you want to let us know, just tweet us at RunInWrestling, or as I said, comment in the section down below if you are on the YouTube app. Might not even be on the app, might just be on your web browser. But yeah, let's get into Rusev versus Shinsuke Nakamura. Who has Matt, your current Run in Wrestling Predictions champion, got, and why?
Rusev versus Shinsuke Nakamura. I have Nakamura because he's on the road to WrestleMania. He won the Rumble. It only makes sense.
I'm going to go with Shinsuke on this one. I don't think it's going to be... I feel like the card is going to be very predictable on this. I feel like sort of everyone's made their decisions, and I don't think they're going to try and do an upset at Fastlane, because I feel like it's literally just a filler pay-per-view. So yeah, I'm going to go for Shinsuke Nakamura. Next up, we have the tag team women's match, which is Becky Lynch and Naomi versus Natalya and Carmella. I think it's nice just to see two women's matches on the actual pay-per-view for once, and I feel like they do need more ones like this, because it doesn't always have to be for the title. It doesn't always have to be a 6-woman challenge. But yeah, it should be interesting to see what happens. Who needs the momentum more? I mean, this one's another one where I think it was like Bray Wyatt and Matt Hardy at Elimination Chamber. I think it was a flip of the coin of who wins, but I'm going to go for Becky Lynch and Naomi, just because they're the faces. I feel like they could do with the win. Carmella's still got a briefcase. And yeah, just feel like that's how it's going to go. Let's see who Matt has got.
I went for Becky and Naomi because it seems logical.
Thank you very much, guys. Next we have Charlotte Flair putting her women's championship on the line against Ruby Riott. And again, just Charlotte Flair. To be fair, this is probably one of the only people at the moment you don't know who she's going to be against at WrestleMania, because there's still rumours flying about that it could be Asuka. And I can't imagine Ruby coming in straight away and taking the title off her. It's been a nice build. Ruby Riott has been a very good wrestler, and I hope they put on a really good match. I hope that Road Dogg and whoever's there for the SmackDown creative team and management are at Fastlane going, you know what, ladies, have quite a bit of time with this one. Have 15 minutes, have 20 minutes, because I feel like they could put on a good match if they really want to. But yeah, my choice, Charlotte. Who's Matt got and why?
Charlotte Flair versus Ruby Riott. Charlotte Flair, because if she loses the belt to Ruby Riott before WrestleMania, it would be stupid, wouldn't it? It'd be stupid of wrestling.
Next we have Bob Roode versus Randall Orton for the US title. I don't think any title is going to switch hands. I feel like Matt just said this, but yeah, I don't think any title is going to switch hands at Fastlane. Or if it does, it'll be a massive surprise. Bobby is... Jinder's going to get involved somehow because he's not actually in this match. I feel like if SmackDown really wanted to make it a bit more unpredictable, they should have put Jinder in the match, because at least then you could have been like, Jinder might actually win it, because he beat Randy this week. And I know it was with the help of Bob, but normally that kind of helps management. They normally end up putting them in the match, but evidently they're not going to, which sucks. So I'm going to say Bobby Roode wins, or at least he keeps his title. Jinder's going to get involved, and yeah, Randy's going to lose. Probably a triple threat at WrestleMania, and it's going to be on the pre-show. So just shows you how much they respect the US title. Who's Matt got and why?
Bobby Roode versus Randy Orton, but whenever Ryan can't be asked to type, he puts Bob Roode. I almost said that's Bob Orton then, but that's Randy Orton's dad. So Bobby Roode versus Randy Orton, US Championship. I'm going to go with Bobby Roode. I don't see any titles changing hands before Mania. It'd be stupid if they did. The only reason why I say Bobby Roode's going to keep the title is because Jinder is going to play interference and then make it a triple threat match at Mania for the US Championship.
Next up, and the second to last match, is the Usos versus the New Day. Probably one of the best rivalries and matches that happened in WWE as of last year. Of course, they had quite a few matches against each other last year. Evidently, one of the best matches was their Hell in a Cell match. They even was on a pre-show, I think, to SummerSlam. I can't remember exactly. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know you probably will. They were on the pre-show and had one of the best matches of the night, which, you know, again, I'm hoping they really do again tonight. And again, I don't know why they would want the New Day to take the tag titles. They don't need it. And Bludgeon Brothers might get involved somehow. They might not. If they do, then it might cost the Usos, but I can't imagine it because that would make the New Day kind of heels. I think the Usos, and then I think the tag division's going to really stick with sort of having the Bludgeon Brothers and possibly a few other tag teams in there. And I think it would be great if they did like another ladder match at WrestleMania. I feel like you've got quite a few teams in there who could do quite well. Luke Harper's been in a Money in the Bank before. The New Day have obviously been in a ladder match. The Usos have been in a ladder match. Shelton Benjamin's definitely been in a ladder match. I think Chad Gable when he was with Jason Jordan? I can't remember. But you could easily add in, Breezango or anyone like that. So I think it could make for a really good match at Mania. But yeah, I'm going to go for the Usos. So who has Matt got and why?
So I went with the Usos again, not dropping titles before Mania. They do that. If there is any title changes before Mania, it'll be that one.
And finally, we come to our 6-pack challenge, which, as I said, is Baron Corbin versus Owens of Kevin versus Sami Zayn versus Jonathan Cena versus Dolph Ziggler versus Anthony Joshua Styles for the WWE title. And it's a 2-pointer, as I said, for whoever is taking the pinfall. So, as I said, if you predict Baron Corbin to win, to pin Dolph Ziggler, and that actually happens, that's 3 points. But if Baron Corbin wins and he pins John Cena, that's 1 point. Whereas if, say, John Cena wins and pins Dolph Ziggler, that's 2 points for you. AJ Styles is going to retain. I feel like these guys are going to say the exact same. And who's going to take the pin? Right, I'm not going to say Cena. I'm going to say Baron Corbin takes the pin. Because AJ's obviously going to retain. And I feel like it would be really obvious for John to take the pin. Because obviously it's ruining his road to WrestleMania. But I feel like something's going to happen where, I don't know, possibly John does something to Baron or to AJ, gets reversed, chucked out the ring, and literally as AJ goes for the 1, 2, 3, John gets in the ring and you just see his face drop at the end. And yeah, should be interesting. So yeah, I'm going for AJ Styles pins Baron Corbin. Who has Matt got and why?
And then for the 6-pack challenge, I've got AJ Styles to win to pin John Cena to stop him from going to WrestleMania. And then it also sets up Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for WrestleMania or KO Mania.
So there you have it. Those are our predictions for Fastlane. So it shall be an interesting. It's going to be I don't think it's going to be a great pay-per-view, but it'd be nice if they did some twists. I feel like after Elimination Chamber, this could be one of the most predictable pay-per-views. If it's not, then I'll be very surprised with how it goes. Let us know your predictions, as I said, in the YouTube comments, or just tweet us at RunInWrestling. And speaking of our Twitter, make sure you're going over to all of our social medias, checking them out. That's Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, SoundCloud, YouTube, and now the podcast iTunes app. So make sure you're checking us out all on there. If you are on YouTube, leave us a like and a share, even a comment. And if you are on the podcast app, please remember just to leave a subscribe and leave a rating. It does help out the show and it will help us out in the long run. So yeah, I've been Ryan Beak from Run In Wrestling, live from the studios in Kent. Make sure you're checking us out everywhere. And have a happy Rusev Day.